The government of Malawi is now asking for help from neighbouring countries in the search for a military aircraft that went missing while carrying the country's President Saulos Chilima. It's understood 9 other people were on board the plane when it went off the radar yesterday. In a late-night address to the nation, President Lazarus Chakwera said he was sparing no available resource to find the aircraft in the hope of also finding survivors. The military aircraft was carrying mourners to Mzuzu for the funeral service of Justice Minister Ralph Rasambara. Poor visibility brought on by bad weather prevented the plane from landing. The aircraft was told to return to Lilongwe by aviation officials, but they soon lost communication with that plane. Let's get you a sense of what else we know at this point. Bring in SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena, who joins us on the line this morning. Great to have you with us once again, Sophie. Thanks very much indeed for making time. It's been more than 24 hours now since the plane itself was last detected on the radar. What's the final word from Malawi around how the search is going?
The government of Malawi is mum. No communication at this moment. Earlier on, I tried to get information from authorities in Malawi. I was told that the Malawian Defense Force will be communicating as soon as they have information. But we are told that the search is continuing. But you know, with Malawi, you'd recall that at some point in time when the president in Malawi got ill, and he passed on, the information was very sketchy. We were told at that time that the body was even flown to another country while they knew that he had passed on. So this is now again evoking memories in terms of poor communication, and many people are now asking questions as to what is happening, because even yesterday, as you pointed out, it was at 10 o'clock when the president was informed about this aircraft missing, and update was only given at 3 o'clock. And he was then able to speak to the nation only at 11 p.m., very late, and therefore questions are again being raised in terms of communication, because as we speak, the nation, particularly Malawians, are waiting to hear or to get more information. You have a vice president who is missing with other 9 high-profile people, and therefore it is a big international story. As you pointed out last night, President Chakwera said that he has requested help from neighbouring countries, but he didn't mention any of those countries. Now the question is why he didn't mention the countries, but he was able to mention the United States of America, United Kingdom, and Israel. And these countries are far from our region, SADC, when you have the SADC leaders who can help in terms of assisting Malawi during this trying time.
Absolutely. And in a context where information isn't as free-flowing, it's difficult to kind of ascertain what went wrong. I mean, beyond just finding the aircraft, we still have no idea around how it went off the radar. Suffice only to say that bad weather apparently made it difficult for it to turn back and return to the capital city.
Yes, and of course now misinformation and fake news are dominating the news, because people are trying to make sense of what is happening, what's the latest. Earlier on there were reports that bodies were found and the aircraft was found, but it was not true. It was fake news. And therefore this is playing in the hands of fake news. As you know that in this day and age, fake news is always dominating big stories as people try to influence the narrative. And therefore, I think by not communicating, even issuing just a statement to confirm that the search is continuing, this creates a platform for fake news to flourish as it is flourishing as we speak.
Yeah. In that vacuum, of course, people also fill it with all kinds of speculation. What is also standing out is that this is the second incident involving a very senior government official in an aircraft which, lands up in in unforeseen circumstances. There's going to be all kinds of questions about, what is actually taking place with these, type of military aircraft, and whether or not governments in the world are, not following these aircraft as closely as they should. I'm springing to memory, of course, the fate of the Iranian president, who also died in an aircraft. And not to preempt the outcome of this ongoing surge, but a lot of people, of course, are drawing connections.
And the chief of the defense force in Kenya, you'd recall it was the chief of the defense force in Kenya, and then, of course, Iran. I think when you look at these countries, the issue of refurbishing of the military wear is quite critical. If you don't maintain or refurbish or buy new capabilities, you are likely going to end up with such accidents or incidents or tragedies. Because when you look at that aircraft or that helicopter in Kenya, it was an old helicopter. You go to Iran, a similar information came to light that this was old fleet of military wear in terms of the Air Force of Iran. And therefore, that speaks to perhaps what transpired in Malawi. The challenges of the economy in Malawi and all of that. They wouldn't prioritize military capability, but rather focus on the challenges they have there of poverty and unemployment. And therefore, when you cut down on a budget, you are able to end up with such challenges. Because you then have to prioritize social issues. And the fact that the SADC region has been relatively peaceful, I think many countries in the SADC region are not spending a lot of money or budget in relation to military capabilities. And we will possibly have such incidents if we don't have well-maintained or refurbished or new military capability, be it the Navy, the Air Force, or the ground troops. You can see some countries, you look at those military trucks, you can see these are old trucks, even the equipment. And therefore, I think the issue of military budget is another sort of issue, but ordinary citizens in countries will have a different view in terms of the priority, particularly at this moment where the sub-Sahara in particular, the economic growth is very, very sluggish.
Yeah, absolutely. A developing story that you mentioned, of course, is making international headlines, and one which we'll certainly keep watching as it unfolds. But for now, Sophie Mokoena, the SABC News International Editor, thanks very much indeed for your take.